so much for joining me today to talk about what's going on at the Enterprise Center. First of all, for people who aren't familiar with the Enterprise Center and how it helps small businesses in our community, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, of course. And thank you so much for having me again to tell everyone what's going on with us. So the Enterprise Center, we're a nonprofit economic development partner of the City of Chattanooga. So we focus on connecting people with resources and technology. We run programs such as the Innovation District Downtown, our digital program, Tech Goes Home, and a tool that I'm going to talk about today, which is the resiliency checklist.
And let's talk about that because that is something new, the resiliency checklist. And before you kind of get into this, it's really helping businesses prepare for the unexpected. And a lot of
Correct.
times, like the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
no, there's probably not one business owner who said, you know what, I was prepared for this pandemic.
Right.
Obviously, some businesses did better than others, but tell us about
Mm-hmm.
this program.
Yeah, so the resiliency checklist is a free online customizable tool. It helps small business owners, nonprofits, and even faith-based organizations just stay prepared like for a crisis, like you said. You can find it at resiliencychecklist.org. And it starts off with asking you questions about your organization, like if you have employees or what sector you're in. And with those questions, it like builds a checklist. So inside of that list, it has different areas of focus. We even have an area for the PPP funding right now that will be until March 31st, I believe. We also have a section on online assets and also a section on partners and different other essential relationships that you would need to have. And this is just to name a few. And in each list, it will have a resource to help you complete that item on that checklist.
That's so important because just kind of going back to this, talking about when this pandemic hit, and so many people were like, what do I do now? And
Right.
we have seen how so many were not able to keep their doors open. They weren't able to
Yeah.
survive.
Yeah.
Those few who were able to pivot and really change things around and do
Yeah.
things differently were able to survive. And in some
Right.
cases, depending on what industry, were able to thrive. So
Right.
talk a little bit about that, just the importance of being
Yes.
prepared in case an
Yes.
emergency comes your way or anything happens like the pandemic again.
Exactly. And that's what most small businesses aren't really told. Like, we have resources to help you start your business, but none that say, hey, this is what you'll need to keep in your a document, or this is what you'll need to keep in a file over here for you to be ready to apply for the PPP funding or any grants or loans that come out when things like this happen with COVID or the tornado that swept through here. So that's what this is really built for. It's like a list of best practices for small businesses and nonprofits and faith-based organizations. So they have all of their documentation. And even in some of the links that we have, we give you templates. We'll give you templates, we'll give you spreadsheets so that you're able to use it. And one important thing about this checklist is that we don't keep any of that information. You can download it straight to your computer, so we're not saving anything. It's private to you.
That's so important, like you start talking about those documents, because
Mhm.
we've also heard the stories about how some businesses were not able to get those much needed loans. They
Yeah,
found it harder to maneuver through the process and
right.
to get all the paperwork turned in. And in a lot of cases, we're talking about smaller business, minority owned businesses
Yeah.
who really needed the help, but
Hmm.
weren't in the position to really do the things they needed to get that help. So that's so important when you start talking about little things like keeping up with those documents and records.
Exactly. And this tool is very simplified to just say, hey, do this, and it's not in any particular order either. So if you need to start with your online assets because you need somewhere to keep your password safe, or you need to add a donate button to your website because now you need to raise money, you go at your own pace and you pick the sections that you need to pick, depending on where you are.